read about the discussions by the High Representative Josep Borel and the Foreign Minister of Armenia, Ararat Mirzoyan. Unfortunately, there won't be the possibility to take questions due to time, but High Representative, you have the floor.
Thank you, Minister. Dear friend, dear Minister Mirzoyan, it's a great pleasure to welcome you here in Brussels. It is the 5th Armenia-European Union Partnership Council. And today, in our discussion, it has been clearly shown that our relations are developing in a positive track. We have the opportunity to discuss the full spectrum of our relations in the framework of this comprehensive and enhanced partnership agreement. But at the same time, we also acknowledge that there is room to unlock the full potential of this agreement. In October in the European Parliament, your Prime Minister said that Armenia is ready to move closer to the European Union. In response, last October, the European Council, at the highest political level of the European Union, tasked me and the Commission to explore ways to strengthen our relations, European Union-Armenia relations, in all their dimensions. And in this context, today we decided to launch work on an ambitious new European Union-Armenia partnership agenda. This decision sends a strong signal of our mutual interest in a new strategic phase in our relations, and it will provide a clear roadmap and a vision for the way forward. This is about the future. The future starts today. But let's look back at the last year. Human rights, the rule of law, and democratic principles continue to underpin our cooperation. And I welcome the steps taken in the justice reform, the fight against corruption, and encourage Armenia to further address challenges in the fight against discrimination, hate speech, and disinformation. I also want to congratulate, as I did, Armenia on becoming the 124th state party of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. That's a very important and courageous decision from your side. Looking ahead, we discuss options to start a visa liberalization dialogue with the European Union. I took good note of Armenia's strong interest and encourage Armenia to further step up reforms in order to progress in this issue. Together we discuss how to strengthen our relationship and in particular the resilience of Armenia, not only in trade and energy and connectivity and aviation safety. We will also help decommission the Metsamor nuclear power plant while improving nuclear safety. I reaffirm the European Union commitment to support Armenia's participation in the Black Sea electricity cable project and other regional connectivity projects. This initiative has a strong potential to serve dividends for peace. And if you allow me, Minister, this brings me to another important point. We discussed the regional situation and the Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization process, and happily including the latest incident at the border. The Armenian shooting of the Azerbaijani soldiers yesterday was deplorable, but the Azerbaijan response today seems to be disproportionated, ignoring the announcement by the Armenian Minister of Defense that this incident will be fully investigated. It again illustrates the urgent need for the distancing of forces, which is something that the European Union has been advocating for a long time, And today I have to reiterate the European Union's full commitment to supporting a sustainable and lasting peace based on the principle of recognition of sovereignty, the inviolability of borders, and territorial integrity. Our mission in Armenia, the European Union mission in Armenia, has recently been reinforced with a bigger number of staff, and will continue to contribute to ensuring an environment conducive to normalization efforts. We will continue supporting the Armenians displaced from the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Today the Commission announced an additional 5.5 million euros in humanitarian aid. This funding comes in addition to the 12.2 million already provided in September to address the urgent humanitarian needs, as well as 15 million budget support for the socio-economic needs of Armenia. We will continue supporting Armenia in the medium and long term for the integration of refugees in your society and economy. We discuss other areas to strengthen Armenia's resilience, and I express my full commitment to further enhancing our cooperation in the areas of security and defense. We will build our dialogue on foreign and security policy in the coming months. Today's meetings clearly show that EU-Armenia relations are stronger than ever, that there is a mutual interest to advance them further. Our commitment to develop this agenda, an ambitious agenda for our renewed partnership, and when we will be advancing on this work, and I will be able to deliver some concrete results, it will be my pleasure to visit you in Armenia and to share with you your wonderful landscapes. Thank you.
Minister, you have the floor.
Honorable Mr. High Representative, dear Mr. Borel, thank you very much for the warm hospitality shown to me and my delegation during this visit. Dear colleagues and media representatives, it is important to emphasize that last year was characterized by very intensive dynamics of deepening of Armenia-EU relations, and I am glad to continue this path here today, looking into our extensive agenda as well as new perspectives. So today, we had a very fruitful meeting of the Armenia-EU Partnership Council, touching upon a number of issues, including reforms, people-to-people contacts, economic cooperation, as well as security matters. We exchanged views on the state of implementation of Armenia-EU Comprehensive and Enhanced Partnership Agreement, a landmark document which remains the cornerstone of our relations and serves as a blueprint for our reform agenda. Its timely implementation is one of our priorities, and I'm glad that we are steadily moving towards this goal. We reviewed Armenia's progress on reforms which cover a wide range of areas of life, including fight against corruption, strengthening of rule of law, protection of human rights, justice sector, education, green economy, as well as migration institutional reforms. With Mr. Borel, who we also noted with satisfaction that since our previous Partnership Council meeting, the Armenia-EU agenda was enriched with new important dimensions and mechanisms. First, the security dimension. I would like to mention the political and security dialogue and deployment of the EU civilian monitoring mission at our international border with Azerbaijan. On economy, while the EU continues to remain one of the main trade partners of Armenia, we agreed to exploit all the available mechanisms to further enhance the trade and economic ties, both on bilateral level and through regional projects. In this regard, the importance of Armenia's participation in the project of the Black Sea submarine cable, as well as the effective implementation of economic and investment plan, was stressed. On mobility issues, I would like to stress that Armenia believes that all the necessary requirements have been met, and it is time to launch the Armenia-EU visa liberalization dialogue. It is a choice to be made to bring our peoples closer and provide them with tangible outcomes of our cooperation. Dear attendees, today's in-depth discussion allowed us to assess what we have already done together and to explore new avenues for enriching our partnership and identifying new partnership priorities. Dear colleagues, today we had an opportunity to exchange views on the current security situation in the South Caucasus and beyond. We discussed all the challenges that Armenia is facing in its efforts to create a peaceful and secure environment in our region. I reiterated Armenia's commitment to agreements reflected in statements adopted in quadrilateral meetings in Prague in October 2022 and in Grenada last autumn, as well as the agreements announced by the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, following the trilateral meetings with leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan in Brussels on May 14 and July 15, 2023. We remain convinced that Armenia and Azerbaijan should reaffirm that they recognize each other's territorial integrity based on the 1991 Alma-Ata Declaration and the most recent maps elaborated by competent and authorized bodies of the Soviet Union should become the basis for the delimitation of the borders between the two countries. This means that in the process of delimitation between Armenia and Azerbaijan, no new border has to be created, but the borders confirmed by the Alma-Ata Declaration and later reaffirmed by the parties should be reproduced on the ground. I also underlined the fundamental agreed principle according to which unblocking of regional communications shall take place under the sovereignty and jurisdiction of the countries, as well as based on the principles of reciprocity and equality. In this context, with High Representative Borel, we exchanged views on the initiative of the government of Armenia, Crossroads of Peace, and its implementation as part of the peace agenda and real opportunity to increase the interconnectivity in our region. We expect that Azerbaijan will constructively return to the negotiating table and adhere to the mentioned agreements. Armenia has such political will. Dear attendees, today we also discussed the efforts aimed at ensuring the needs and rights of more than 100,000 Armenians forcibly displaced from Nagorno-Karabakh as a result of the ethnic cleansing by Azerbaijan. We appreciate the EU's engagement and support in this direction. The humanitarian issues, including release and repatriation of Armenian detainees, solving the issue of missing persons and preservation of the Armenian cultural heritage under the control of Azerbaijan were also on our agenda. I also informed the EU colleagues that, guided by humanitarian purposes and as a confidence-building measure, Armenia has recently prepared through inquiries among the former Nagorno-Karabakh officials and transferred to Azerbaijan new maps of minefields. I asked for possible engagement of the EU for verification of those maps. Concluding my remarks, I want to stress again Armenia's willingness to further deepen the partnership with the European Union based on an ambitious agenda for realizing the aspirations of our citizens and for a more prosperous South Caucasus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our speakers, and this concludes the press point for today. Thank you to the interpreters too. Thanks.